Good morning.
Woohoo!
Good morning. We are here in very cold Minneapolis. I tell you what, if you want to know cold, come to Minneapolis in January. So we are here. I'm here with my two good buds, and we did some amazing things this weekend so far. We had a kickoff for Ross and Amy Crane, which was an awesome event. People came out in the snow.
Out in the snow, 15 signups. Have you been with the snow?
We had 15 signups. It was just an awesome event, and I just love doing these events, guys. As I said to the audience, you know, the venues are different, the people are different, but the stories are the same, you know.
Sure.
And you see how health cuts across, people's lives and how it's wreaking havoc, not just in people's personal lives, but also in their family lives. So it's awesome to do what we do. But the other reason that we got together this weekend is Brian and Justin and I spent pretty much all day yesterday planning for you guys, for your success. And a couple things I wanted to talk about is, first of all, just thank these guys for getting together. Brian flew all the way from Arizona, not only to be at the launch, but also to be here so that we had 2 days of planning. And, we really do think long-term with 8 Weeks to Wellness. This is not something that we created to be a short-term vision, because we know that this is a worthy goal. This is something that obviously our communities need. So I just want to go over some things that we covered yesterday. I just thought some great things came out of yesterday, some great ideas. And, the first thing I want to tell you, it's amazing when you get your leadership team together in your practice, and you see the things that come out of it. When people start to share their ideas and their hearts, it was just amazing. So the first thing I want to go over is some of the things that we talked about was the traits of successful offices. What are successful offices, 8 Weeks to Wellness offices doing that unsuccessful offices aren't doing? That in and of itself, we probably could spend the next 3 hours on.
For sure.
But maybe, Brian, to get your perspective first, one of the things that you talked about yesterday is just in terms of leadership, really being the leader of the practice, and making sure that your employees know that you lead by example. So maybe just talk a little bit about some of the traits that you see, because I consider both of these guys extremely successful with 8 Weeks to Wellness. So again, this isn't something that we're just talking about from stage when we do our 2 days or when we do our coaching calls, but this is something that you guys are living. You've kind of come through the 8 Weeks to Wellness process. You know what it takes to be successful. So Brian, share a little bit about what you see in terms of what some of these doctors can do to really be successful with 8 Weeks to Wellness in 2018.
Yeah, for sure. And, I want you guys to understand, we literally go through every single member of 8 Weeks to Wellness on our roster and talk about what are some areas of opportunity that we can help these guys with. What are some areas of opportunity that we can really help them influence their communities? And I think the first thing is you got to show up. We talked about this at the last 2 day. You're never going to build $1 million practice on a 20-hour work week. And it's just not possible, guys. If you have the skill set to hire, train, and motivate other people to do the work for you, that's one thing. But when you're coming into 8 Weeks to Wellness, you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to get busy. And you can't ask anybody in your office to do something that you haven't done yourself. It's like the kettle calling the pot black. And when we do that, your staff looks up to you to motivate them. They look up to you to make sure that if this is what Brian's recommending, well then why isn't he doing it too? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, when I talk about showing up, you got to come to the 2 days. I brag about this fact that, in the almost 6 years I've been with 8 Weeks to Wellness, I've missed 1 2 day. And there's a saying goes that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room.
Right.
And you got to show up. And if you are the smartest person there, then people are looking to you for input. They're looking to you for insight and to share your story. And, we've got an amazing story, but it's about plugging into what Dane and Justin do and not trying to recreate everything, but really just submitting and saying, you know what, I'm going to do a dinner talk. You know what, I'm going to launch 8 Weeks to Wellness this way. You know what, I'm going to do a wellness score on patients, and I'm going to make recommendations that are wellness-based recommendations. So you've got to start with the foundation, and we've got some really cool stuff we're planning for the distributors this year, but it's going to take your community and your practice to the next level. But the key component is it involves you.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, one of the things that we talked about yesterday, and we really made a commitment to this, is I believe personally there's a right way and a wrong way to do things. Yep. There's a way that leads to awesome outcomes, and there's a way that doesn't. And one of the things that we talked about yesterday is that we feel that there's too much of a disparity between 8 Weeks to Wellness centers. So we've made a real commitment to creating systems and procedures that are reproducible and teaching you guys those systems and procedures. So we talked about creating a systemized way of marketing, because we know that there are good marketing plans and there are bad marketing plans. We know that there's a way to execute a marketing plan, and there's a way just to create a plan and hope that it's going to do itself. We also talked about day one, day two. One of the things that we talked about is making sure that when to run a wellness score on someone and when not to. When somebody is ready for 8 Weeks to Wellness and open to it and not only needs it but wants it, and when somebody's not. There's a way to know. We talked about the green light questions and how it's so important that you guys be able to do your day one, day two properly, so that at the end of that process, you've developed trust with your patient with whatever they came in with, but also to develop that long-term relationship. One of the things that we talked about this morning, guys, was one of those aha moments, but we talked about if your case average for a patient is about $300, $350 a month, which I think is pretty easy to do over the course of a year. You do that with 30 new patients a month, and you have $1 million practice just with your new patients. That doesn't mean any of your existing patients that are coming in, just with your new patients. So just think about that. And we were talking about, if somebody came in and they were under care and they're getting a program like 8 Weeks to Wellness and they're getting a functional training facility to work out every month, who wouldn't pay $350 over the course of the year for something like that that's going to have such a high return of investment? So, just being able to share these ideas, but then go and help to maybe standardize them in some of these offices. The other thing we talked about is just your the way that you do your statistical processes in your office. Are you looking at your stats? We're looking at your stats. Like Dr. Brian said, we get together, we go through each one of you, and we ask, how can we support you better? How can we get that person more engaged? Because we know that your success is directly tied to your level of engagement. So, Justin, anything you want to share in terms of traits that you see in some of the docs that you coach?
I think it's just showing up. The biggest thing, like we just started our mastermind groups. I know, Brian, you have yours next week, right? Or this coming week on Tuesday. And Dane and I just had ours on Thursday. And, and even me, I didn't get a chance to send out an email. So, I'm sitting here saying, well, who's going to show up and who's not. But the reality is that if you're going to be successful, you got to show up. You got to set your calendar. You need to be specific on the times you need to be there. Yeah, it's no fun getting up at 6 a.m. on a Thursday, but it's 6 a.m. and it's one day out of the month. And what I can tell you is that success leaves clues, right? And so those that are consistently showing up on my mastermind calls and engaging, we get a ton of things done in the sense that the marketing stuff, that wasn't me marketing stuff, that was the group marketing stuff, and everybody that consistently shows up, and it's the same core 4 or 5 people that are always showing up, and then we trickle in the other ones. I just push you guys to show up this year. Show up to your meetings in your staff rooms, whether it's training, we talked about that. Get your weekly trainings done. Don't skip them. Go over the same things. Do role playing. It's no fun, I get it, but you got to do it. You got to put the work in. Have your staff meetings. Make 2018 a point where you show up to every point of your life, including at home with your family and your kids, and just really making a difference this year and showing up, because I think that's the success that I know the docs that show up to all the things. Get up early. We talked about it. Spend your hour of power. Get up at 5 a.m. Yeah, it sucks. I don't always love getting up at 5 a.m. on our Tuesday calls, but I still do it. Brian sometimes has to get up at 4:30 or 4 in order to get on a call with all 3 of us. And you just need to show up this year and make a commitment to yourself. And if that means I got to text you and you need that commitment, I'll text you 5 a.m. every morning when I get out of bed so that we can all be on the same page.
So one thing, again, as Justin was saying, I would dare say that your level of success is directly tied to your ability to get uncomfortable. Because what Justin's talking about and what Brian does is getting uncomfortable. So are you willing to get up at 5 a.m.? Are you willing to meet with your team on a day that you'd rather be golfing or rather be hiking or doing something personally? So your commitment to get uncomfortable is directly tied to your success. One thing that I was sharing with these guys that really had an impact on me this week was a video that I watched from Simon Sinek. And you've seen all the videos that he's done, his TED Talks and stuff like that, but you probably haven't seen this video where he talks about what it takes to be an effective leader. And he shared this story. He said, listen, if you go see your dentist twice a year, your teeth are still going to fall out. Right? The key to seeing the dentist twice a year is the brushing and flossing that you do every day. And he said, I can't tell you what day, is it the 10th day you brush and floss? Is it the 12th day? Is it the 365th day of the year that you brush and floss that keeps your teeth from falling out? I can't tell you what day it is, but what I can tell you is if you do it consistently every day, it makes an impact. If you do it once in a while, it has absolutely no impact. Going to the gym once and looking in the mirror, no change. Twice, no change. 3 times, no change. What day do you look in the mirror and say, oh, I've really changed my body? Or same thing with 8 Weeks to Wellness. We just know these principles are true. The other thing that I want to share with everybody is we went through our event schedule for 2018. And we have the two days. We have the April 2-day in Newtown. We planned some phenomenal speakers. We have Robert Silverman coming in. We have Steve Thiel coming in, and I don't know if you guys know Steve Thiel, but he's a good buddy of mine, probably one of the best top adjusters that I know, right up there with Atle Torstensson, who we had at a 2-day. So we're going to be doing some adjusting technique at that 2-day. We have Jamie West going to be speaking, and she's going to be talking about her success, and she's been in 8 Weeks to Wellness for a while. So we're trying to bring in docs, guys, that can share what they've done to be successful, so that we're not just talking about wellness. We're sharing doctors that will share their heart and soul with you and tell you what you have to do to be successful. We also have the 2-day that is going to be at Brian's office, and we're doing that in November. That's going to be an awesome event. We plan that all out. We have Jack Wolfson coming to speak on Thursday, which is awesome. We have a couple other really good speakers that are going to be speaking that event. We also have some virtual events we're going to have in, I believe it's February, the end of February, early March. We're going to do one full training on day 1 and one full training on day 2. And again, we talked about that yesterday, but just sharing with these guys how important your day 1, day 2 is, especially in this model. We've got to train on it, guys. I would dare say this is like one of the things that if you don't get it right, there's just no way you can be successful in this model, or no way you can be successful in practice. So we have a virtual event coming up, and then in August, we're actually going to do another live day 1, day 2 event in Chicago. So we're planning that out, and we're all going to be there to help you guys. And then the other thing is we're doing a staff training event at Dr. Justin's office, and we're doing that at the end of June.
When it's warm.
When it's warm, right? And
which it is not.
Yes.
It is not.
So we've already talked about bringing in Christy and Desiree and Debbie, to help your CAs, and bringing in people like Dawn and Noah to help your trainers, and bringing in people like I forget his name. Mike. To help your massage therapist. Because success leaves clues, as Dr. Justin said. So we want to make sure that we're not only supporting you, but also supporting your team. And we're going to have an awesome, Justin lives on a beautiful lake. We're going to have a staff event on Friday evening where we bring everybody together. And we just, we sit around the campfire and we share stories, and we love on your teams. Again, so this is not just about us, it's about our teams as well. We want to help train your teams. And then the last thing I want to talk about, and I'd love your feedback on this, we want to start doing an annual 8WW couples retreat. So we're thinking about Mexico in July. But I would love your feedback on that. And, this is an idea we talked about, something that's important to us. One thing that's important to me personally, as I shared with these guys and I shared with you, growing up in a family where my dad's been married and divorced twice, and I saw the wake of destruction that divorce left, and seeing some of the chiropractors that I just had a high level of respect for go through problems in their families because they were so dedicated to chiropractic that they left their family out of the equation. And so we want to do, we're talking about bringing in a speaker that can strengthen our families and strengthen our marriages. So if you guys are interested in that, we're looking at doing that in July. And so we'd love to get the couples in 8 Weeks to Wellness together. Or even, if you want to come and learn how to be in a loving marriage, that's something that we're really excited about. Anything you guys want to share on that?
Yeah, I'll just share that, the thing about it is there's a quote that goes, behind every successful person is a strong woman. or every successful man is a strong woman. And when you look at this, one of the things that docs come into 8 Weeks to Wellness, and the hard thing for their spouses to understand if they're not in the chiropractic profession is the sacrifices that we're trying to make to better our position, not only in business but also with our family. And here's what I know, guys, is that, look, we're going to work. If you're going to work for the next 5 years, why not work hard to transform not only your practice, your community, and also your family, and have something on the back end of that versus just logging time and going through the motions every single day. And, I know Dane has shared his story, of his relationships. And one thing that's great about 8 Weeks to Wellness is our transparency to share our failures. And one thing we always teach is fail forward. And if we can share information with you that will really help you, not only have a stronger bond with the person that supports you the most inside of your life, but also how to continually nurture the other parts of your life. Because what we always say is faith first, family second, work third. And it's easy to flip it upside down and really focus everything on work. And when you do that, things get way out of balance quick. But it's important to understand how to set boundaries, how to really plan and communicate with your spouse, how to support them just as much as they support you, because it does take a village. And when we look at our teams and we look at the people that we have on our teams, broken relationships are all around us. And what we want to do is try to impart anything we can to help the chiropractic mesh with what's going on inside of our families.
Awesome. Anything you want to share about that?
No, I totally agree with Brian in the sense that if we, if at the end of the day, and I think you said this from stage, at the end of the day, if we have a $2 million practice and we're considered the most successful chiropractor that's ever been in the profession, but then your kids have no idea who you are, and your wife, hates chiropractic and has, just a negativity towards all of this, that's not success. And I'm not perfect, and Christy will be the first to tell you that, in the sense that it's a balance between everything, and that consistent balance is what we want to make sure we're bringing to the forefront for 8 Weeks to Wellness doctors, and creating a culture and a community where God is number one, and right below that is you serving your wife. And you serving your wife means serving your kids, because you have to love her first, and so that you can love your kids more. And it just gave me tingles. I just got tingles. Yeah. And I really think this could be a cool event. And if you feel like you're in the place where you want to plug into that, just comment below and let us know so that we can start to plan it. And we talked about this. Maybe it's 2 couples, 3, 5, 10,
we don't care
15.
if it's us and
it
our
might just
wives.
be us.
It may the couples retreat may be us, and we're totally cool with that.
But if you want to show up and hang out with us and spend some time together and love on each other, and if we can get Brian's good friend to come in and speak to us, I just think this is going to be the best event of the year. And the 2 days are awesome, so it's going to be great.
So, like this morning, guys, I woke up and I just felt so blessed to, be at a point in my life where I feel like, I'll be 50 this year, but I've worked harder in my life than I ever have, like, no doubt. But, like, I just feel so blessed because of the relationships with my spouse and my 2 boys and my good friends and you guys. I mean, I just feel so blessed that I'm working hard, but I'm seeing the results and the fruits, really starting to come to ripen up. And it's because of the work that I've put in the right places. And we want to share that with you guys. I want to share my struggles, like what I've learned over the process of being what I would consider a successful chiropractor, and having a successful marriage, and having 2 boys that are pretty amazing kids, and what I've done wrong and what I've done right. And if we all get together and we support each other and hold each other accountable, we're all going to climb this mountaintop together, where you get to a point in your life where you wake up, you look at these 2 ugly mugs and say, gosh, man, what have I done to deserve this? Right. And what you've done is you've just worked your ass off, and you've done it with a smile on your face. And again, at the end of the day, I think what God, wants from us is He gives us talents, and He wants us to go out and use those talents and serve other people. And when we go out and we serve other people, man, you're gonna work hard, but you're gonna wake up with a smile. And guess what? You're gonna play hard too. We worked our asses off yesterday, and we went out for an awesome dinner and laughed, and woke up and had an awesome breakfast together. So last thing I just want to touch on, guys, before we wrap this up, is just your processes and systems. One thing that we're really going to challenge you is on your processes and systems, and to get those together. We're challenging ourselves. one of the great things about getting together is looking and reflecting on our own systems and bettering our own systems. We all three have practices. We all three have a bunch of employees. You were sharing yesterday how your practice has grown from 3 employees to how many you have now?
13, 14.
13. And I remember when your practice was 2 people, I think, right? And how many employees do you have now?
12.
12? Yeah. I think we have 17 employees, guys. There's a lot of mouths to feed. And it's easy to stay small, right? It's easy to say, I'm just going to have a low overhead. But I don't know any business where that's a good model.
Right.
To say the way I'm going to be successful is to stay small, not grow.
Look at 3M when we drove past 3M in that plant.
Yeah, we drove past 3M,
overhead.
Right? And you said how many employees?
12,000 in that branch.
12,000 in that one location.
Right.
Are they doing something that's more important than what we're doing? Absolutely not. Why can't we have 12,000? Yeah, posting notes, right? I mean, come on, guys. So think big, but again, you can only grow to the level of your competency, and we want to help you develop those processes and systems so you don't have to figure it out on your own. So I just wanted to tell you guys that we are getting together. We're working hard for your benefit. So that that we can support you guys, right? So please start showing up to your masterminds, showing up to the weekly coaching calls, showing up to the 2 days and the trainings, and know that if you start to do this and then you do the work between the trainings, the brushing and the flossing, the role playing of your day 1, day 2, putting together your staff meetings, getting together with your executive team, and looking at your vision and your mission and your core values and what action steps and quarterly goals you have, you guys are going to have immense success in 2018. So, Brian, I'll leave you with any finishing thought you have for everybody.
Yeah, I would just piggyback on what Dane said and show up. And, when you don't work, then you lose your right to complain. And there's so many docs that literally will shoot us a text or pick up the phone and say, well, what about this? And it's like, did you listen to the modules on the 8WW Doctor site? When's the last time you were on a mastermind call? When's the last time you were on a 2-day? And as we go through and we look at doctors, Dane talked about this on Successful Traits, is that the doctors who are having the most success are the doctors that are submitting, they're implementing, and they're not changing anything, guys. The hard work and the heavy lifting's already been done for you. You just have to submit to self and say, you know what? Dane said this is a good idea. I've seen Justin have an amazing practice doing it. Why don't I just do this and take myself out of the equation and be about other people? Because when you take yourself out of the equation and put others truly first, then that's when your practice starts to gain momentum. And as Justin says, momentum cures everything. You're going to have different things that you have to get good at. I had to learn how to manage, and I'm still learning. My staff will tell you I make mistakes. I try to be transparent, though, and when I make a mistake, I go to them and say, you know what? I probably should have handled this better. I'm a work in progress. And, you go through different phases of change, but the difference is I'm showing up every single day, every single mastermind, every single 2-day. I'm showing up, and I'm taking it on the chin. You take it on the chin, you celebrate your wins, you don't let yourself get knocked down and stay down long. You get back up and you learn from those failures, but you've got to be in the game. None of this, I'm going to do something every 6 months and think about it. You're spending your money and your distributor fees every single month. Let's plug in and get to work and save some lives. Stop talking about it and start doing it.
And so, such an awesome point, because we want our patients to trust us. When we make recommendations, we want our patients to trust. And when they don't close, it's because at some level, either conscious or unconscious, they don't trust you. If Brian told me to do something or Justin I wouldn't even think about it. These guys are so trustworthy that I'm going to trust anything that you tell me to do. And that's the same thing that we want for our patients, guys. So you can't have it both ways. You can't want your patients to be trust your recommendations if you're not willing to trust our recommendations. So either you believe we're trustworthy, or you probably should get out of 8 Weeks to Wellness, And if you believe we're trustworthy, then do what we ask you to do. It's that simple. And something else you said, my wife has always taught me, because she's a teacher, when you do the homework, the test is easy.
Right.
Okay? When you don't do the homework and you show up to a day 1, day 2, or a challenging patient, and you haven't done the homework, you don't know how to handle that patient. So it's do the homework, and the test is easy. Anything? Last parting things you want to share?
Yeah, and follow up with Brian on the sense of, we're not here just to take your money and collect money. I mean, one of the things I always tell my staff, and I'm really big on this, is that I don't need my patients to pay me for a fitness center they're not going to use. they have not only paying me to show up, but they're paying me to hold them accountable to showing up. And that's what we want to do for you guys, is we want to help you show up and be accountable. So we're going to text you more. We're going to email you more. We're going to reach out. We're going to hold you accountable because we want you to be successful in this model, because we know that it makes your family successful and it makes your employees successful. So give us your feedback. Tell us where we can be better, because we want to be better. We want to be the best we can be for you guys and supporting you. And so if there's things that we're not doing or things that we can do better, let us know, and we're going to do the best we can to come alongside you this year and help you be successful in 8 Weeks of Wellness and in your practices and in your families in 2018. And we're making it easy for you to show up, because 2 of the events you don't even have to show up to. One of which you just got to get on a phone call and be there virtually, and the other one you just send your CAs to us, and we're going to do all the work. We're going to create all the manuals, and we're going to love on them, and then we're going to push them to grow. But then you got to be willing to let them come back and push you to grow, so that we can be successful this year. So 2 events you don't even have to show up to. You just got to be willing to submit and do the work.
Yep. So I think it was Tom Landry, great football coach, said that we want to force you to do the things that you inherently don't want to do, to become the person inherently that you want to become. So allow us to push you, allow us to get you uncomfortable, so that you can be that person that you want to be, and that chiropractor that you want to be, and that leader that you want to be. So we love and appreciate you. We've got to get back to work. We've got some work to do, and we'll speak with you guys soon.
Love you guys.
Have a good one.